What up? I want to get this video in real quick. I know I'm in Chicago in the Central Time Zone, so I had to get adjusted. The basketball and then football slate. So real quick for basketball, actually let's do football. So we're talking about doubling up 50-50. So far we're 5 for 5. Looking at it from a football perspective, which is the only thing I'm really focused on today from a double up perspective. This game is really tough to really figure out where you should go. Because Leonard Fournette's coming back for Tampa Bay, so you don't really know. I think Rachaad White showed a lot while he was out to the point where maybe they still give him the majority, but it's still, to me, like a timeshare, so you're not in love with that. And then you still have the Andy Dalton factor on the other side. So New Orleans going into Tampa, it's a low total. There's not a lot of things to love. So when we're talking about playing it safe, we're going to bet on money. So the first thing we look at is Godwin getting to 25 yards. Obviously you can attack his props. You like him at home to go over that, but a safe thing is to at least get to 25 yards. Same thing with Mike Evans. Marshawn Lattimore is out, so there shouldn't be a fight in this game. They usually get into a fight, and it's usually pretty competitive. So I would hope that this is the Mike Evans game without him there at home. So I like him for a touchdown if I'm going to bet on anybody, especially from a receiving perspective. But just getting to 25 yards, he can be volatile, but I'm hoping that today that's a safe bet. I think Tampa Bay needs to win this game to stay in control of the division, as bad as it is. The other thing is, the next thing is under 62.5. I don't see these two teams getting to 63 points combined, no matter what the score is, so I think that's pretty safe. I also like Tampa Bay plus 12.5. I really don't see New Orleans beating them by 13, and then Olave getting to 40 yards. And that was a tough thing. Like, that's actually what took me so long. I didn't know whether to keep Olave at 25 and then add Kamara at 25 yards. But Kamara's been volatile, and the way he ended the last game just gives me pause. Tampa Bay historically has been decent against the run. They're not as good this year, but I'm more confident in Olave getting to 40 because there's so many different game scenarios where New Orleans has to pass. And if it's really a blowout, then they'll donate 40 yards because they're in prevent defense. So, and there hasn't been a game this year Olave hasn't gotten the 40 yards. So if I'm attacking people for lottery tickets, I'm going after the Mike Evans and Godwin props. And to a much lesser degree, Olave. And then if you want to, just to really get out there, Kamara is still somebody that's Kamara, but, that's more lottery ticket. That's the safe bet. Godwin 25, Evans 25, under 62.5, Tampa Bay 12.5, and Olave 40. That should get you right around plus 100 or in that neighborhood. So, in terms of basketball, really quick, just to kind of, no sense doing a second video. Let me just kind of pivot to that. Just really quick, looking at the first game, you've got Milwaukee and Orlando. Chris Middleton's back. They're all almost at full strength. Brook Lopez is out today, so that gives Bobby Portis some opportunity. So take a look and see what there's out there for him. But in terms of DFS, his FanDuel pricing, sorry for the video thing I'm doing on my phone today, so I apologize. This is always going to be a work in progress, especially when I'm doing this on the road. I just want to make sure I don't have DraftKings. Yeah, I have DraftKings pricing. Let me switch to FanDuel. All right, so for FanDuel, you can always play Giannis, but when they have full strength, it has to be really a really big time matchup for me to want to pay $11,800 for Giannis. But Jordan Nwora starting for Grayson Allen because he's also out, so they got Allen and Brook Lopez out. So Portis and Nwora are people that you can put in your lineups. And Drew Holiday is at a buy price of 7.7K, but I'm not running to play him today. On the Orlando side, it's pretty volatile. You just really don't know where to go. They're missing they're missing Mo Bamba and the people that have been missing for a while now. So Fultz is at a cheap price. The minute seems to be capped, so even 4.8K, he hasn't passed value yet. So I wouldn't be running to play him. If I'm going to play somebody in Orlando, it's probably Mo Wagner at 4.3K with a side of maybe Ben Caro at 7.6K. I don't know if this is the matchup for him because this game could get out of hand. I expect Milwaukee to do pretty well, even though it's in Orlando. So I don't love anybody from Orlando. It's Price. You can always throw lottery and dart. You could throw darts at them, but nothing that I really feel confident in. The next game is the Clippers are going to Charlotte. Looks like George and Kawhi Leonard are back, so that kind of obviously makes them a lot stronger as a team. So I'd be looking at them with some points on the road and then feeling good about it. But again, who knows what the minutes are going to be. I don't love anybody's price except for maybe Zubats at 6.3K on FanDuel. If you're doing a DFS lineup, you could put him in there. You just don't trust the minutes or the other scenarios, so everything else is just really a dart throw for the Clippers. You would think they would have enough to win the game, especially, Charlotte is still missing the people they've been without for a while, namely Gordon Hayward and LaMelo Ball. So this is a watered-down version, but they're volatile at home if they can get hot. I do like Plumlee's price. He's been playing well lately, and they haven't really moved his price that much. He's at 5.5K, so he's definitely somebody I'm targeting in a tournament. And same with Rozier. Again, it's volatile. Definitely tournament plays there. And you could attack their props. Those are people that you could look. It's volatile though, so again, don't feel good about it. OKC is going to Atlanta. Atlanta is missing Hunter and someone else, so they got projected probably AJ Griffin and Jalen Johnson in the starting lineup. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. OKC is on the road. They're pretty intact based on what they're currently doing. You could always play SGA. He's at 10.4K on DFS. You could attack his props. Again, I don't really love. Jeremiah Robinson Earl 4.7K, like in a tournament. I like that play. I don't think a lot of people will play him. He has an opportunity to surpass his 5x threshold. On the Atlanta side, I still like, even though Trae Young's back, I like DeJounte Murray at 9K. And I don't hate Trae Young at 9.7, but if I'm going to pick one, I'm going to play Murray today, just even for the price savings. And with them, but Bogdanovich is back for Atlanta, so keep that in mind. He's probably still on a minutes limit, but that usage is there for him, especially with the second unit. And with them missing people, they'll probably get some run with the first unit. I also like Capella today. I just don't think that OKC is a high shooting team. He's a big time rebounder, so I would look at his rebounding props, and I would definitely put him in play in DFS. Boston at Toronto. It should be an interesting game. Should be a competitive game. Toronto has a slight favorite. Boston is missing their center, Horford. So Griffin is a projected starter. Obviously he's over the hill, so I really don't expect much from him. I think that puts more pressure on Tatum and Brown, and to a lesser degree the other two guys, Smart and White. So again, you could go after, Tatum especially. I would really look at him. Again, not so much for DFS, but in terms of betting props, I like. Who knows how they'll play in Toronto? It's a little bit of a different environment, so the shooting could be volatile, so just be mindful of that. On the Toronto side, Van Vliet's price has come down, so I think there's a real opportunity there. Here's a ceiling for him. Obviously Smart is a tough defender, but in the NBA we play in today, it's Kim. In the NBA we play in today, somebody's calling this other phone. With pick and roll and everything, it's not so much about who's sticking who. So Van Vliet at 7.8K isn't playing DFS, but again, it's volatile just because, they're so spread out with what they do. You never know whose game it is. And Siakam is another one with a high ceiling in a game like today. I'm going to be playing him in DFS, even at 10K. I think this is going to be one of those matchups. He's a tough guard. He's so long and he does so much. So I think this could be a Siakam game, but don't be surprised if Van Vliet gets hot, unless Marcus Smart really plays him tough. So we have to watch that. Philly is going to Houston. James Harden is returning on a minutes limit, so I'm not playing him DFS. I'm not really attacking any of his props, but what it does do is it kind of takes away from the rest of the lineup from a usage perspective. So DFS-wise, I don't think I'm playing anybody on Philly. You could always play Embiid, especially against a team that's undersized like Houston. Even though 11.6K, I'd rather go get that Luka for 300 more, or even play Steph Curry for 1,300 less. So I'm not big on that. I don't really like anybody from Philly today from a DFS perspective, and maybe some Embiid props if you want, but I'm not running anything. Nothing excites me over there. Houston, pretty intact. Eric Gordon's back, so that kind of puts Kenyon Martin Jr. back to the bench. I mean, Jalen Green is always, when he's like at 6'6" or less in terms of 6.6K, he has a ceiling. He's got 40, 50, fantasy point upside. So the question is this a matchup, that lends itself to that? So I think that's the question. I think I could, from a tournament perspective, you definitely can throw some darts with Jalen Green. I don't really love anything else from Houston either, though. Miami goes to Memphis. Be mindful. There's some injuries here. Miami's at full strength. Jimmy Butler, I was wrong about that. He came back and he killed in his first game back. So he's just kind of that guy. That said, again, they're all still priced up to when he was out. So DFS-wise, can't play him. But definitely, you can look at some Jimmy Butler props. This is a matchup, with Memphis. Memphis has a lot of injuries today. As a matter of fact, Morant's not playing. Bane is still out. So you're looking at Tyus Jones in the starting lineup. Obviously, that puts him super in play in DFS at 5.2K. I also like Dylan Brooks. I think he has to shoulder the load for scoring, and he's only 5.9K, so I think he's a must-play. He'll be popular, but definitely something to pay attention to, as well as Aldama at 4.6K. He's sneaky, and he kind of can touch all the categories. So those are the three people I really like from Memphis today, and then you could attack. There's a couple people on the bench from a DFS that you can throw a tournament dart at, like Tillman or Clark. And then Phoenix. The last game, Phoenix is going to Dallas. Phoenix is still missing the usual suspects, Chris Paul being the main one. So Booker's been on fire lately. So, again, he's definitely somebody that's always in play. He's at 10-2. Not running to play him, although this could be a matchup that he does well in. So that's something to pay attention to on the tournament side. And I'm showing that Dario Saric might start today. I don't know how true that is. He's back. Now, he played the last game. They blew out San Antonio, so he got some run. He's only 3.8K, so if he does start, although I don't know how his conditioning is, he's been out for a while, but that's a price you can play him at. That's really it for them. And Luka's at 11.9K, but, again, he's at home. He's got Cameron Payne guarding him. Like, he's going to be able to get in the paint. Should be a big game for Luka, so feel free to bet his props and even play him in DFS. Again, he's expensive, but it wouldn't surprise anybody if he got 60-plus fantasy points today. So Tim Hardaway Jr. has been a little hot lately, so he's somebody else. But when him, Dinwiddie, and Luka are all in, I just think it's a little spread out. And then you got Christian Wood coming in, eating up some usage too. So, but that is the game. That's one of the games with the higher total. I didn't see, where is the... Oh, it wasn't the last game. Anyway, so where's Steph Curry? Last game, Indiana at Golden State. Golden State, I know Jordan Poole's questionable, but I think he's on the plus side of questionable, but they will be missing Wiggins, and looks like Halliburton's out for Indy. So TJ McConnell's in play. Andrew Nebhart. Actually, I like all of Indiana's starters. Maybe the least is Jalen Smith, but I like Turner. I like Hield a lot at 5.9K. I think that's very much a buy price for him. He has guard and forward eligibility, and you would attack some of these props for Hield and Turner. It's a little volatile, but you would like to, because, I think Golden State's favored by 9 points. Actually, it's 11 points. So there's some concern about blowout here, but which does lend itself to, if it does happen and you think Curry has a big day, I'd go after his props. Klay Thompson is only 5.9K, so you could play both of them in DFS. If Poole sits, I really love them too, but if Poole plays, I still would attack their props. Just don't love them as much for DFS. And that's it. I just want to get this content out there. Send me any feedback. Good luck.